learner model. It shows that a compact detector can actually work as accurately as a large one. And that more can fit on the same system if we can actually learn from the process. All those are optimization problems. So in one sentence, we can say that we are helping AI see people quickly without carrying unnecessary computational weight. So it's like again, the teacher model teaches the learner model learns from the teacher model, and then takes away what's really important. It's like when you learn driving, you don't have to know what's happening in the car, right? So that's the bit that the system does. Okay, so that's a paper that we were working on, my PhD student, and basically based some of those numbers from the published Tesla publication. Okay, thank you.
Three questions. First question, anyone order a hamburger because it just got delivered?
Thanks, Marat. So, anyone got any questions on the presentation today?
Well, I'm saying I've got three questions, Ross.
Yeah, okay.
The second question is, what does FSD do for range? Does it affect range?
Well, if it is drawing more power, it would, but it's minimal still. I mean, the budget on the computer is quite minimal. It shouldn't.
I haven't noticed any difference.
Maybe a few meters.
Okay. And third question is, we've just got a new car this week, and we got an email from Tesla telling us that FSD, which we purchased, won't be there when we got it, which we did on Wednesday, because they're doing stuff with, what was the word?
There was a mismatch between the car, the software in the car and the FSD.
I wouldn't know.
But I'm just wondering, when they put FSD in, if you're getting a new car, I'm assuming they start from scratch rather than building what was there before. And what you were describing there seemed to be about, you have to make sure it will fit what's available in the car. So is that likely to be what the issue is, that they've come up with the latest model and it doesn't fit yet?
Yes, that was actually my motivation in approaching Ross, saying that okay, maybe Tesla might be interested in this, but I think at the moment they have too much on their plate, so they decline it. But it's also like it hasn't been field tested, so it's just a one focusing avenue in optimizing those neural nets, and fitting the code is always a problem. But yeah, so they might have some their own pathways on how to fix that. But yeah, the hardware will be always a problem as the model gets bigger.
Is there another hardware update now? Or?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, we told there was hardware 4, was it? Was coming?
Now, hardware 4,
Hardware
you've
4
already
is
used,
out.
so you'll have hardware 4.
Well,
Yeah.
we're told we don't.
AI 5 chip is coming.
Right.
So that's just the next generation chip that we can't. Yeah, mate, what's your...
The student-teacher model, is that a common model that's currently in use? Or is that something you guys sort of developed?
Oh, there are some work being done on it, so it's not just, we didn't just...
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because it has the potential, I suppose, to amplify errors if it's learning the wrong thing off the main model.
Yes, that's why it's an ongoing research. Yeah.
That's why you do the testing on both to see if they're producing the same results.
And it's also limited on the data set as well. Like you have to have the data set available to be able to retrain it to get smaller.
Yeah, because it's a predictive model, yeah? It's not a generative model.
No, it's not.
Which is
No. There's
So
no
what's the math behind it?
Sorry?
What's the math?
A lot of maths, optimization, backpropagation.
So largely regression with optimization.
Yes.
Check.
Check. It's really like go back, propagate the network, feed the same information, see what comes out. What comes out is not good enough, so go back and change them again. But there are some at the beginning, at very early stages of neural networks, that was done kind of a trial and error. Now there is a little bit more math in adjusting those weights.
Got a question over here.
Yeah, I was just wondering, with all this pruning and after many generations of that, supposing something happens with that latest model, and how much of that original data would be kept so that you could go back to first principles if there is a problem over a later generation?
Well, that depends on the data set, actually, because if it works on the data set all right, it should be okay to continue with that. But if it needs to be trained on a new data set, that may not match.
Yeah, or if the later data, like one of the prunings is hacked or something like that. So is the original data set retained somewhere?
Oh, the data set, the training data set is always available. It's just that your computer doesn't know about it. It only knows about what to do with it.
Yeah.
So with hardware version 3, they're bringing in an FSD Lite, which I think was supposed to be out in May, but it's not coming out yet. What's going to be the impact or the difference between Lite and the hardware version 3 from Soft Drive? What would they have trimmed, or how are they
I don't know.
do you have any
Like,
idea?
I don't know what. They would probably remove some of the features, like I don't know, instead of driving it hands-free, you still have to. I don't know. I don't have
Yeah.
FSD, so I won't be able to comment on what's going to be. I'd like to have the summon mode.
I think some of the competitors would say that. Sorry, mate, over in the corner.
So Tesla's already got users of full self-driving in Australia. I use it myself. Does anybody know the extent to which Tesla has said that this hasn't been field tested, what your approach is? Does anybody know if Tesla is using our experience for their field testing?
Yep.
Yes, they are. Well, sorry, mate, yeah, Tesla, as you know, as Marat said, whether you've got FSD on or not, the Tesla cameras are always recording, and the data sets are going up to the servers, I assume in the US, probably via Australian server bank, but it ends up there and it gets crunched down. It's got, my understanding is it's got exceptions, so it spits out exceptions to a human operator that then looks at it and says, no, that's a signpost or that's a lamppost, whatever it might be. So this is how Tesla creates Australian specific FSD, i.e. our kilometres per hour sign is not like their miles per hour sign and all the other recognition that is quite unique. Even our line markings in some regards and our laws are different, and in fact they're different between each state. So again, there's that constant learning. That said, I mean, I've got full FSD on my car and there's a little traffic island in my dead-end street. I don't know, some idiot in the AC government decided to put one on here. And it's got keep left. If there's a car parked within cooee of that little traffic island, my car will want to go on the wrong side of the road. It'll go on the wrong. It doesn't matter how many times I say, no, it's this way. And I go that street. Every 2 times a day, it hasn't learned to go left. I still have to take FSD off to go left. And obviously, that's just a learning algorithm that they obviously got all this data, and eventually they'll probably get round to it. And probably insignificant.
Probably not related to the FSD as well, but even the navigation, for instance, it tries to get you on the wrong side of the roundabout, like the state circle. Instead of going left, it tries to get you from the right.
So in the name,
left and right.
in the name of FSD, I think the most crucial word is supervised.
Yeah.
And so, I'm continually, if I'm using it, continually looking for what's the decision the car's going to make in this situation. Is it going to make a decision according to what I think should happen, or? And even this week, it made a couple of decisions that were pretty wacky, really. And do you know what happens to that data?
Every time you disengage FSD, it records. So you have this sort of 15 seconds. You can say, okay, this is why it's disengaged.
Every time you dive in and push the
So you
brake
just
or
push the
something.
button. Yeah, every time you have a steering wheel input or push the brake or it disengages for any other reason. So you have this sort of moment where you can say something. And I always do, because it masters everything really well, which is above the road, but it goes happily through potholes. So, and every time I give that feedback, so then some AI system analyzes my text and then it gets triaged. Sometimes I disengage because I just want to go fast. Or he says, Mom, come on, push the pedal down, or something like that. So I give that feedback as well, because then they can just triage it off in rubbish. But every time you disengage the FSD, it sends all the data automatically if you give feedback or not. I just give that feedback so they don't have to look at it, because I just wanted to go fast. So then it's like, okay, I just,
I think there's a high expectation too.
Yep.
I mean, really opened my eyes to the number of, systems that are running at the same time to create that
Yep.
one image. And for FSD, was it 48 networks or whatever? And that's just amazing. I wasn't aware of that. But you think about your individuality, and you're driving down the street and there's a pothole or something, and you disengage and go, there's a pothole there.
Yep.
You're one of how many people on the planet Earth? 9 billion. And of that, so what I suspect, and it's only me suspecting, is that they would need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
Yep.
data sets of someone going, there's a pothole, maybe from different Teslas,
Yep.
for it to then go, there's an issue here, maybe we should record that as a deviation. Rather than one, imagine, if you're a vexatious person, go around, there's a pothole there, and you have all the Teslas weaving up and around the road if they just take one piece. But that's just my thought. I'd assume that's what I would do.
I'm still waiting
I'd
for
have
that.
that set, that percentage. I know you were doing it for, recognition of human, but also for reporting purposes, how much notice does Tesla take of it?
Oh, they do take that quite seriously, because I had one situation. I wasn't so the car was steering. It looked from my end. It looked as if the car's going into the opposite traffic, and I immediately reported it. And I went back to Tesla. But what actually happened, and I didn't know it at the time, so the lanes have been sort of swirling around, and the car just sort of, tried to be in the middle of the lane, and it made that sort of like slightly turn. My mom was driving, and I was on the passenger seat, and from my end, it looked, there was another car coming. It goes right into the opposite traffic. So we disengaged, and I immediately just sent that report. And they actually triaged it quite high. It went all the way up to the headquarters to America. And then I realized the car didn't make a mistake. It just went slightly that way because it was sort of, trying to stay in the middle of the lane. But they actually take these things quite seriously. And that's how I know they triage things. And that's why I give that feedback. I give feedback about potholes each and every time. So guys realize if potholes is a problem. But I also give the feedback, like, no, I just wanted to go fast. So they don't have that work and put it off, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but criticality on each of those.
It's depending what, yeah.
I'm still waiting for the screen to come up with images of wombats and kangaroos and stuff like that.
Are they all foxes or something like that?
Sorry, we got other questions, but someone there had another one? No? That was.
One ask you, is there an upgrade from 3 to 4 in terms of
Sorry, say again.
Software 3 to 4.
hardware?
Hardware
Can you
3 to 4.
upgrade your hardware?
No, yeah.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. They don't know if the new cameras will fit in the actual well of the. Because the hardware version 4, if you have a camera that's got a slightly red tinge, it's just a slightly different, better resolution camera in there. There's a lot of problems with 3. Problems is not the word. 3 was great when it was designed, but as Murat was saying, power, CPU speed, GPU speed, all those factors. That's why they've got to make a line, because obviously the full FSD version 14, which is only around the corner for Australia, is going to really push through that hardware trend. Sorry, next one.
What about human error? Like, I was on autopilot going Sydney Highway to Queensland, and the council North Grafton painted a non-broken line from the right to the left. So my car just went boom into the left lane, even though there was another car behind me. So how do you override that? Is it the brain, my brain, no, don't do that, which happened. I took the steering wheel, took over control. So that's an issue. That's like yeah, and another thing I was interested about the radar that Tesla got rid of about 4 years ago, and your explanation was that they were interacting with each other.
That makes sense.
Well, the LiDAR, Tesla don't have LiDAR. They have the earlier ones have radar.
And they are on pure visual, but is
What's the
there...
name of the company in the US?
Is it Waymo?
Yeah, that's it, Waymo, thank you. They do LiDAR, and you'll see Waymo in San Francisco. A couple of them just froze. Partly probably because they were getting the fusion LiDAR, and of course their thing is, if I'm confused, stop.
Yeah,
because we don't know what's happening.
Was that like autopilot, like get the fan braking?
Well, yeah. Well, it's. I think. Sorry, there was a point I wanted to bring up that you mentioned.
But there's another issue with it's just purely
Sorry.
Yeah,
Before I forget,
Andy's right.
right, councils and signage and that. It's not just white lines. I mean, in fact, driving on Monaro this morning, those roadworks at Jerrabomba turn-off there, you know, the white lines are like, like this, you know, and they've kind of half blacked them out, a terrible job of blackening them out. And even I'm getting confused, but the FSD didn't. I was amazed that it stuck to it must have been reading the right-hand edge line, and it just said, I'm ignoring those weird dotted lines going like this, you know. But that is an actual issue for the council and also state transport authorities or main roads authorities, because and you know, I saw it again on a trip we did down to Victoria, down to the bike riding event we did the other weekend. The roadwork signage is abysmal. And so you go through roadworks, there's no end roadworks, there's no 100k. So the car's sitting on 40k an hour, and you're going, legally, I have to do 40, because I haven't passed a signpost that said these roadworks are finished.
Yep.
But you have to go, okay, there's no system of street lighting, which is defined by 3 street lights. There's no more roadworks, I'm just going to override it. But you know, that's where councils and governments have got to start on with these contractors to say, you've got to do it, otherwise your company will be fined, because you are, you know, as we get more towards autonomous vehicles, they need to improve the signage. And there's actually the Federal Department of Transport, I think it's Department of Transport is doing it. They had a workshop on national road signage for autonomous vehicles. Unfortunately, I missed it. It was about a year ago, and I want to sort of, I've been put back on the list, but they haven't done anything more with it. So that's something that obviously will need to be sped up.
Is there still limitations with visual cameras in like heavy rain, fog, direct sunlight that blocks vision, so that it sort of says, oh, I'm not going to operate because I don't know what to do? Is that still an issue? Or
No,
the
well,
other cameras pick up?
I found with heavy rain it will slow down a bit. With fog it doesn't seem to worry it. With I haven't done it in snow yet, but with what was the other one you said?
Heavy rain,
Heavy rain.
sunlight.
Sunlight.
It deals really well with it, I
Car's
think.
still going.
Yeah.
In fact, there's times when I've gone, thank God I've got FSD on, because I can't see a damn thing. The FSD's just driving and going, oh, there you go. And even the old version, Hardware 3, I remember I hit a storm in the old car going up to Newman Highway, and there was sheet rain. It came down instantly, and the wipers couldn't pick up. I couldn't see more than 20, 30 metres in front of me. Yet FSD is still seeing kids on the road,
Yeah. The vision's actually much better, I feel. Yeah.
So,
I just saw a recent video to answer one of your questions about glare, sun glare. Tesla are right on top of that, because everybody knows that that's an issue in America particularly, and partly to do with their training model. And they show 2 photos of a Tesla driving up a suburban street, and one has sun glare, and as a human being you could barely see what was in front of you. You could kind of see a car parked over there, and the next photo showed you what FSD was looking at, and it was almost clear. So the cameras in the car, version 4, can see better than you can under that glare condition. So they're working really hard on the edge case of sheet rain and glare, and it said that's why your car kept going, because it could see better than you could see through the rain and stuff. So they are really on top of it.
I suspect they'll have a polarising element in the lens.
Some bit,
Yes.
Oh, right.
2024 one, which is version 3.
Yep.
So your one's a version 4, so I can't really have full self-driving with
No.
what's the word? Feel comfortable with it. You know?
Yeah.
The autopilot scared the shit out of me 3 times on one trip, and my wife refuses to drive a car now because of it.
Well, it's good that you said that, because Kate refused to activate FSD on 3.
Yeah.
She uses it all the time on
That's
4.
good.
And that's Kate, because she goes, you know, because it violently pulled to one side on that. 4 is...
That's what new.
Yeah, version of, it's rather than 4, version 13 of FSD is far better than 11.
So from what year did they put that in cars?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Kate now drives with FSD. She would never do it in the old car.
So,
So-
20, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Same.
So, and remember there's actually, Tesla's doing quite quantum leaps in its FSD. So from hardware, I won't use hardware, from version 13 to version 14, we're on 13 now.
Yeah.
14 is in the US. 14 is a quantum leap from 13, as 12 was to 13, as 11 was to 12. But it seems like that quantum leap is getting bigger and bigger as I would suspect the learning concept and the training, and they're trimming data sets. I would think they're starting to kind of do that, but Murat's sort of research, I think Tesla are mad not to just have a look at it. and look at how that can apply, because that would then, what was the word you used, pruning and getting that down to a lighter version. Yeah, mate.
14, have we seen that ever in Australia yet?
Not yet,
No,
probably
so in the
mid-year.
US it would roll out to testers a little while ago, and I think now it's getting more widespread. I think it's 14.2 and then 14.3 is being pushed out now. But then that's got to be converted to right-hand drive and Australianised.
Oh, okay.
Question for Murat. Is there any speculation about how quantum computing, even though it's probably not going to be generally available for many years, may affect AI in general?
That's a very good question. It brings in a lot of computing power, but most of the problems that quantum computing solves right now are very academic problems. Like, you have to really work hard to find out a problem that's useful to be solved by a quantum computer. So you can't go and do your normal image processing on a quantum computing.
Is there any speculation, though, about how it might affect it at this point?
Well, I mean, if that can be translated and a good programming language designed for it, I mean, anything can happen. I don't know. Like, I'm not in quantum computing, so I won't be able to speculate on that.
Cool. Any other questions, folks, before we wrap it up?
Just going to say, oh.
When we test drove using the FSD, I didn't drive it, so I asked about whether it's now fully legal to actually use it in Australia. So you mentioned that the road rules change every state, councils and all sorts of things. So are we fully covered?
Right, that's a really, really good question, Mary, and I'll give you a very average response. So in the ACT in South Australia, the law is you have to be in control of your car, but it doesn't define what control is. So you could actually say, if you're sitting in the driver's seat, basically with your feet on the ready and your hands off the steering wheel, is still in control of the car because you are responsible in controlling it. It doesn't say you have to have your hands on the wheel, it doesn't say you have to have your feet in the pedal. So South Australia and ACT, you're fine. New South Wales, you have to have one hand on the wheel legally. Queensland is two hands. I can't remember Western Australia. Victoria, and I'll go to Victoria. I've left it. I don't know about Tassie. Tassie, I think, is the same. I think you've got to have, because the only two states where you're pretty well clear is ACT and South Australia. Tassie, I think, is either one or two hands. WA is the same, one or two. But the claimer is Victoria. When they were asked about it, they couldn't give a straight answer.
Yeah.
So, yet again, Victoria. Now, there's a ticket going around on Facebook at the moment of a guy that allegedly had FSD and didn't have his hands on the wheel, and Victorian police pulled him over and booked him and gave him a ticket for not in control of the vehicle, something like that. Now, the offence on the ticket didn't look, to me as an ex-policeman, didn't look right. So it may be a fake ticket. No one's been able to sort of say, I haven't looked at it anymore.
Didn't Chris say it was, the offence occurred 2 days before the ticket?
Sorry?
No,
It was issued.
yeah, so there was 2 days difference between the ticket came out 2 days before the offence occurred or something.
Oh, something like that.
Weird about the ticket, yeah.
And
he said he
again,
doesn't know of any bureaucracy that's sufficient. Is that
no,
sufficient?
and to be honest, yeah, it's pretty unlikely that it's a real ticket, but because Victoria, if they can't tell you what the response is, how they're going to prove it in court, you know.
Yes.
So there is a thing in Victoria, and they'll always quote this. In Victoria, there's a thing that says, for an autonomous vehicle, you need to have a permit. But it's not an autonomous vehicle. It's full self-drive supervised, and to your point. So again, I just reiterate, this is still, even though it's not a beta software theoretically anymore, it is still supervised. You still must control the vehicle. Now, I don't put my hands on the wheel when I'm in Victoria, and I'll just touch the wheel when I'm in New South Wales, just in case.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And that just makes it compliant. Queensland, I won't say anything.
So what happens?
I've got the recording on, but I put both hands on the wheels in Queensland and I drive correctly. So yeah, just be aware that each state is different. But
But
certainly,
what we're going to be able to let us, to keep us informed about these sorts of things, because as a driver,
yeah,
do we have to, before we go to Victoria, do we have to somehow
Just
There's
keep
a-
just two fingers on the wheel and just let it sitting there.
There's a,
No one's
if you
gonna
Goo-
see
if
that.
you Google it, there's a great report that was put out by a journalist that actually lists all the state laws, which is one I've just quoted to you. The problem with TOCA doing it is if someone gets a ticket, they'll then blame us and we've got a legal responsibility. We can't go down that channel. So while we can give general advice, the advice is check with the local state law legal authorities. So what we will do is we'll make representations to state government saying we need further clarity on this, which I'm planning to do, because there was that journalist did write to each of the state law, state Department of Transport, whatever it was, that they wrote to, and they said that's how I know about Victoria. So Victoria's response is basically was very, yeah, you've got to be in control of the vehicle, and we actually don't know what that means. They would say
Victoria
that
was the first jurisdiction in the world that put an EV tax in, and the High Court kicked it out. And I also got booked in Wodonga in 61 and 61. And I got the book in the mail, and I was thinking about driving Canberra to go to court in Wodonga.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
So they bank on you not doing it.
There was, I don't know if it's still relevant, there's an old case law in South Australia that says that the magistrate back 30 years ago, they said that there should be an allowance of around about 10% for paraballatic error on the speedo, as well as errors in driving and fluctuating speeds. But we always worked, when I was in Queensland, we always worked on around about 15% pour over the limit. So, yeah, sorry, I'll go there.
No, sorry, what are insurance companies saying about FSD?
Yeah, quiet at the moment, so it's going to be interesting. The insurance company is only going to be interested if you break the law. So that then goes back to the state authority and what the laws are. So
Yeah. I'd like to,
in control.
well, I'm keen on trying FSD, but not in my beautiful new Tesla. How do I go about experiencing? I'd like to sit with someone in their car while they...
I'll take you for a ride.
Thank you.
Well, tell Tesla you want to buy
Or
a
just
car and
do-
I'll take you on a test drive.
Yeah,
With
you
FSD.
can do it as well. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't live without it anymore. It's like, love it.
Yeah, you've got the first hand up.
We're up to 10 billion miles
Yep.
of data back on FSD from owners to they run a clock. Just crossed 10 billion.
Yeah.
And there's a Chinese car company that records where the in China that records where the potholes are, feeds it back to the general, community of their cars, and then when that car gets to that pothole, it adjusts its suspension.
Come on, Tesla, you can do this.
Can I just say, and it's not an old concept, although this is all fully automated now, or getting there. But when I was posted to Moscow in Russia, there's an app they've got called Yandex, and you could actually go along, if there was a pothole or something, you could actually mark it on the road in their version of Google Maps, which is Yandex now. You'd mark it, and it would actually populate to all the other Yandex people, and taxi drivers up there, and they go, oh, it's a pothole, runs big lines. So you can do that, and you can actually report a false one too. And it's got an algorithm, obviously, if one person reports it, it won't do it. But if you've got 10 or 20 people reporting it, it'll put the pothole. So, there's all this thing, including police radar caps and everything. But that'll be automated within like, and obviously it's coming on a 10 billion mile data set, which is a lot of data.
Two things. My Garmin does that automatically. It gives you the shits because when you're riding, it'll probably keep telling you there's a pothole, it's still there. And Waze does that on the navigation system. The hands-free, the cameras that they're now rolling out all across the
Any other questions, folks, before one more, the last one? Yep.
Just very quickly, I'm a new Tesla owner, but typically the old vehicles, the analog.
Yeah, analog, yeah.
They tend to be about 5% less.
Yeah.
In the Tesla, brand new Tesla, it was 1 kilometre per speed.
Yeah. I found my old one, my old one was 2K. Yeah, so I was doing 100, I was actually doing 98.
I found online Tesla more or less that it's 1 mile an hour, which is 1.5 kilometres.
Yeah. And I think with speeding and a lot of those what we call simple offences under the Motor Traffic Act or its variants around Australia, they're all what they call strict and absolute offences, which means mens rea, which is intent, is not an element of the offence. So it doesn't matter whether you have the intent to speed or not. It's just the fact you were speeding, irrespective of what your speedo's showing. And all that. I used to have people go, I'm going to visit. My speedo was out. And I'm going, it's irrelevant. The speed of the car is what's relevant, and it's strict and absolute. So it doesn't matter whether you intend to do it or not. It doesn't matter if your speedo's working or not. It doesn't matter anything. If your car is going over the speed limit, it's an offence. But again, there needs to be that degree of flexibility by police and by the judicial system, because I know for myself, if I haven't got anything on, I'm trying to manually keep the car right on 100, for instance, I'd often go up to 102 and then drop back to 98. It's just, with electric, they're so responsive that, you know, slight foot pressure, suddenly you're over the limit and under, and it's very hard. But,
when you go on the federal highway to Sydney, and you go through the every speed cameras, you know, the car comes up with, I know I can't decide the right,
Yeah.
but the three used to come up with the average. And
Yeah.
that's always a good guide.
Yeah.
It's
speed
okay,
average.
well, that confirms that
Yeah.
my just said it at 102, but again, I'll be wary of the live when you set it up today to 102.
All right, folks, did you have one more question before we disappear? No?
Yeah, for the group. I drove to Sydney a few months ago, and I noticed that my car, even though I've got it completely set on full self-drive, and I haven't adjusted the speed above or below the speed limit, it was regularly exceeding the speed limit and going 90 in a zone that was suddenly 70, something like that. It would literally show on the dash the speed limit is 70, but it would still go 90.
Yeah, scroll, just check your blue.
Check
Yeah, because what happens is it reads the sign at 70, but the GPS is saying 90 on the map that Tesla uses. So you've got to wind it back. Just check what the speed is. It's really bizarre. The other thing you do is just push when you've got the 70 come up, just push the 70 sign on the screen. That resets it. But for those of you who aren't aware, it's the same with your navs. I used to do this in boot camps, and we should start boot camps again. But anyway, if you're navigating, you've got your map, and you know sometimes the map's upside down. You're sort of driving down. You know, all you got to do is the little arrow. Just push that, and it'll rotate the map and zoom in on your car and away you go. So that's a quick sort of fix. Same with speed and all that. The speed limit symbol. It's same with the school zones. You go through sometimes. It'll see the 40, but it's still sort of being 80 with it. Just push the 40, or in case of the school zone, because you don't have much thing manually take over. But anyway, that's a trick to really set it. The same with on the highway. I don't know. The map that they changed when they went from version 12 to 13. They changed the map provider. It's still Google satellite imagery. But the actual data behind the map is another private company. I used to know the name of it, they swap from them to another. I'm finding the data with the new company is a lot more inaccurate. And that's why you're getting bizarre speeds coming up. I can tell you, when I turn left out of Woodcock onto Drakeford Drive, it's an 80 something, it goes up to 80, and suddenly it just drops to 60.
Yeah.
Because of the knifing. I don't know why, but I'm doing it. And then it'll go back up to 80 at the next 80 something, going, why is it doing that? There's no answer. Except that there's GPS data that it's pulling from that map for some reason that's overlapped onto Drakeford Drive, and it sees that little segment of road as 60, even though the signage says 80. It just doesn't work.
You don't know which one overrides which, right? Sometimes
No, exactly. It seems to be a bit random on which is overridden, but I think it takes the GPS data more than it takes the visual, except when it comes to roadworks, and then it kind of does that. It's bizarre. Very last question.
Another reason why I don't like autopilot on the Pin Highway in the 110 zone, and it comes to crossroads that have got new way signs, it just suddenly breaks at crossroads. I just go, no, you should drop it through there on good way, so but it does it randomly too. It doesn't do it every time.
Look, if you're on hardware 3, which I think you are, that is, that's old. I'm sorry. It's so out of date. It's so out of date. What you're saying to me is reminding me of my car last year.
You know, the only reason
and having full self-drive now with version 13 is a dream. Like when I first ran it, I went, oh my God, where have you been all my life?
Yeah, I know.
It's just a...
I don't have faith.
Yeah, and 14 is coming. Anyway, that's enough, folks. Thanks very much. I'll have hands together for Murat.